from the streets of Cincinnati, welcome to the jungle!
Right now?
Oh, yeah. So this guy, when we come in for practice, this guy is always waiting with some Jackpot Joey gear, and I like trucker hats, so I was like, man, can I get that hat? He's like, sure, man. And then he gave me some stuff for me and my mom. But, you know, gotta represent my boy Joe, Jackpot Joey, I mean, no.
So I think
Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and drippin' orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle drippin' heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who day, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle drippin'. Nasty, natty, yeah, we lit it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feastin' now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and drippin' orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em, bingo bottle, never stop it till the beast and know who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossin' on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and drippin' orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of Jackpot Joey Burrow, who got mentioned on Good Morning Football today. I was shocked. I played at the beginning of the intro here. T. Higgins was wearing the Jackpot Joey hat, and somebody asked him about it, and it made it to Good Morning Football. Now, this is a terrible recording, but I don't care. I'm excited that made it, so just check this out.
Okay, understandable there. Of course, he wore number 5 in college. You also noticed he had a number 9 hat on for Joey Burrow, who he calls Jackpot Joey K. And we are big fans of nicknames on this program. Jackpot Joey, I like that. And if you're a fantasy owner, you may really like that K.
All right, I'm a little geeked out about that. That is cool. So if you guys are interested in buying any of the Jackpot Joey stuff, and remember, portions of it go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Foundation. Go to the Jackpot Joey 9 website, and you can order them there. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,368 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, do me a favor, and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the bell for subscription, and every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube channel, we're doing Super Chats, so if you like to support what I'm doing, give me a Super Chat. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll pop it up there as fast as I can. Now, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Bar, or excuse me, the Ice Cave. This is the Ice Bar. I'm in the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, guys, got a very special guest today. Another one of my favorites on here. Yesterday I had Zim. Today he's coming all the way from California. He actually came to Cincinnati, and I actually got to meet the man in person. So I want to hear about all his trip. He got to go to the Bearcat game, which apparently me and him are sitting very close in the same section. Didn't even realize it. But anyway, he's from Cincy Jungle. He's from the Orange and Black Insider podcast. Everybody knows him. It's Anthony Cosenza. What's going on, brother? You like that picture?
Oh, I love that picture. I love that picture. Well, I was going to sit here and go, "Hey, I know you. You're the guy from the tailgate. We met at the tailgate."
I caught you off guard with the picture.
You did. I like it. I like it. Good to see you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, that was cool, man. It was awesome meeting you and your brother and your nephew, and that was a blast. And I must say, your brother has got the coolest mullet I've ever seen in my life. He's got the long curly hair and everything. He's rocking it. It is badass. I can't. I had a mullet about 2 years ago, and mine was nowhere close to that. So
it's very McConaughey-esque. You
yes.
know, it's very McConaughey-esque. And funny enough, on our plane flight to and from Cincinnati, he's reading McConaughey's book Green Lights. So I'm like, man, could you embrace the McConaughey anymore, Brandon? I can't even believe it. So, we had a hell of a time, man. It was a great weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah, you said you went to the Bearcat football game, and I think you and me were actually sitting in the same end zone. That's what I found out on Sunday. I didn't even realize that. But you were in the not the student section, but the opposite end, right?
Yeah, the opposite end zone.
Yeah.
And you know, my nephew is kind of bouncing from JV and varsity at his school for football, and I think my brother's trying to get him a little revved up on college, and so we kind of walked around the school a little bit. I had never really been there. I had been to the medical campus part of that, but hadn't really been there. So we walked around a little bit, then we got in there early and got some food, got some drinks, and sat around for a while. It wasn't the greatest start for the Bearcats there, but
no.
we were a little surprised about that. We were saying, oh man, we might bounce at halftime because this game's gonna get out of control. But they made it, they kept it interesting. But it was a fun experience, and then obviously the day after too was epic. So great.
Yeah,
weekend.
that's awesome. The funny thing is that's my school. I went to the University of Cincinnati, and where everybody's tailgating at, or when you first walk in there, and they had all those buildings and everything. You got a road going around it, and all this nice grassy area. And when I was going to school there, it was a parking lot. That's all it was. Like, it has changed so much in 24, 25 years, however long it's been since I went to school there. It's ridiculous. But the campus is way better, 10 times better than it was when I went there. And yes, the Bearcats pulled it out. Yes, the Bearcats have a huge game tomorrow versus Indiana. And I'm hoping they pull that one out. So you made it to UC, and then you made it to Bengal Jim's tailgate. And did you get to drink any of Kenny's day drinking lager?
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah, yes, I did. I had one of those. Those were, when you hear Keystone, you go, oh, really? But I actually thought it was a lot tastier than a Keystone. I actually thought it was a pretty good little beer. And that we were like, oh, how can we get these cans with us? And we on a plane and stuff, and that didn't really work out. So I may have to contact 16 Lots or something to,
Oh yeah, I'm sure Dell will be happy to send you some. I got some right over there in the corner by my TV down here in the ice cave. So
the cans are epic. I mean, you got
awesome.
Kenny on the front of them, and I mean, for a beer that he kind of touts as a Keystone Light, I thought it was pretty tasty, especially as you're getting going earlier in the day, right?
Well, it's like
go right into double IPAs or something, right?
It's like it's like Kenny Anderson said. He said you can't drink all day unless you get started in the morning. So I mean, you gotta start off slow and build up momentum, and you can.
Right.
Well, Anthony, we're professionals. We got this. We know how to handle this.
Well, my body was also on West Coast time too. So
yeah, I know.
Sometimes it's like when you're talking about drinking a beer at 10:30. To me, it's like rise and shine. Here's a beer for you.
Welcome to Ohio, brother.
Yeah.
So hey, I know I texted you later on that night, and you went to the OTR. How was that?
Actually, we kind of bounced around. We tried to go to the banks after the game, and everywhere was slammed there. And then the places we maybe could get in, my nephew's 15, so they wouldn't let anyone under 21 in. And
right.
So we went up to over the Rhine. I can't remember. It was a kind of a pizza place. It looked like it was an FC Cincinnati kind of fan bar a little bit.
Okay.
It was an Italian place, and we honestly, because of the heat, because of just the emotional nature of the game, and just still we were on a little bit of a time change. We honestly sat in this booth and just watched the late games and part of the night game for honestly probably like 2.5 hours, and just like chilled out. Had water, had some food, maybe a couple adult beverages as well. But we just kind of chilled out. And then we made a late night stop at Jeff Ruby's, and Adam Jones happened to be in there, Pac-Man Jones. So we
get out of here.
No, he came up
That's
to
cool.
us. We were still wearing our gross gear from the game, and he came up to us, man, and he was like, "Great game today," and talked to us for like half an hour or so, and just was an awesome guy. And he was there with his lovely wife, and so anyway, it was just really, really cool experience all around this weekend, and obviously getting to meet a lot of people that I interact with either on the podcast or Twitter or both.
Right.
I didn't get to meet a lot of great other people that I wanted to, but unfortunately, just time and other game day gets crazy, man. You just you lose track of time. You're like, oh my god, we got to get to our seats. We got to, you know what I mean? It's like,
that's exactly what happens to me. Is I got to get there because I make a trip. I have like a little pathway that I do. I start at Longworth Hall, and I go to the Jackpot Joey tailgate there. I start at 10. I should start at 9. And then I go down to the Bengals bomb squad. That's where Bengals captain and Hube and Houday Baby and all them are there. And then I end up at Jim's because
I couldn't find lot one. I couldn't find lot. I was actually looking for. I went to Jim's for a while, and then I was like, we were all sitting here saying, I kind of want to go. I want to meet Bengals captain. I want to meet Orange Arrow. I want to meet all these people that should be around at this other one. I just couldn't find where that. We walked around for a bit, and obviously.
Yeah, I know. You messaged me on Twitter, and I didn't even. You DM me on Twitter. I didn't even see it till after I saw you that you were like, "Hey, where you at?" I'm like, "Oh crap!" And then I take it back. I was in the game, and I said, "I'm in section 158." I'm like, you know what? He probably said that to me earlier in the day. So, but I agree with you. And when I saw you after the game, I was sitting there on that little concrete wall or whatever. And you're like, what are you doing after this? I'm like, I'm going to go home and chill. I was wore out, dude. I literally, I went home, started watching more football and fell asleep. But like you said, that the heat, the emotion of the game, and just being an older guy, it kind of wore me out. So I think I need to start running or something, get a little more, get a little better in shape. I always tell everybody round to shape, but sometimes you might have to be a little more in shape than round. That might help. So, hey, Josh is in here. I didn't even know this, but Josh is saying, congratulations to Quentin Spain. He missed practice for the birth of his child today. That's cool. I did not know that. Do you know if he had a boy or a girl, or I don't? Because I do
not. But I saw a tweet from Ben Baby of ESPN earlier in the day saying he didn't see Quentin Spain, which was kind of interesting and a little concerning, I guess. But then it kind of later came out that he was Zach Taylor, I think, told the media that Quentin was missing because he was going to be there for the birth of his child. So congratulations.
That's cool. Congratulations on the Q for sure. Oh, actually, I got to tell you, I saw him, which I think I might have told you this at the tailgate. I actually saw him and Jackson Carman at the Bearcat game. Yeah. Did I tell you that? Okay.
Yeah, my nephew ran up and said hey to him. So, yeah. It's hard to miss Jackson Carman with that hair, man.
That's the way I knew who he was. Yeah, I saw the hair. I'm sitting next to my wife. I smacked her. I go, that's Jackson Carman. She goes, who? I go, Jackson Carman for the second round pick for the Bengals. Yeah. And then I looked then they had some skinny dude with him. I don't know who he was. And then I looked at it's Q. I'm like, Q, what's up? I was like, hey, that's cool. So that was kind of cool. Now I got to get this comment up too, because this was on Who Day Nation. We're talking about Kenny's day drinking lager. And, Kenny Anderson wears 14. So did Andy Dalton. Kenny was first. But somebody said, why did they put Dalton on the picture on those cans? So, yeah, I saw that comment. And who they
I don't know if Dalton's a be on a beer can kind of guy. I don't,
no, I don't even think.
I don't know that he does that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I don't even think he even drinks, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, let's get into Andy Dalton and the Bears. What's your thoughts rolling into the game? I mean, is Andy Dalton going to make it through the whole game? Are they going to go through Justin Fields? The Bears' offensive line is worse shape than the Bengals. What's your thoughts on all that?
Andy Dalton, we were kind of, when we were watching him, because we were paying close attention to that night game last week in that restaurant that I was telling you about, and lo and behold, Sunday night, man, not light shining bright on Andy, and not a great showing by him. Now, granted, the rest of the team, aside from his running back, didn't really come to play either, and the Rams look really, really good with Matthew Stafford, but primetime Andy kind of came to light again on Sunday night. I say this a little tongue in cheek. I guess one of the best things that Andy Dalton has going for him this week is the fact that he plays a 1 p.m. Eastern game on Sunday afternoon,
right,
instead of a Monday night or something like that. I think it's going to go one of two drastic ways. Andy's going to show up and shut up all of the Bears fans and say, this is still my job. Justin Fields is not going to take this job from me. Or it's going to be a long afternoon for him, and you may see Fields start to get a little more run in terms of more snaps and all that kind of stuff. I do think regardless, I think we're going to see, based on what we saw Sunday night, you're going to see both quarterbacks taking snaps this week. So Lou Anarumo is going to have to figure out some creative defenses to defend both styles of play there. The dual kind of threat that Justin Fields possesses a bit, and just what they showed against the Rams there. But I think as you head into this, based on what we saw from the Bengals on Sunday, I feel like the Bengals defensive line versus the Bears offensive line, all of a sudden that becomes a real favorable matchup for Cincinnati. Yeah, I think, the interior of the defensive line, I know he didn't have the highest grade. I know DJ Reader had a higher PFF grade than Larry Ogunjobi did, but it felt like Larry Ogunjobi was in on every single play in which he was playing snaps. He was like unbelievable. So he played well. DJ Reader played well. Obviously, BJ Hill played well. Those guys.
By the way, we stole BJ Hill. I've been saying that all week. Yeah. We flat stole him.
Yeah. Then you've got Hendrickson and Hubbard on the edges there that hopefully give you something. You got Cam Sample that was making some nice, he kind of got in there on a couple of plays there. So, I think that defensive line against that offensive line that's a little battered right now, that's a favorable matchup for the Bengals, particularly actually in the interior of the defensive line. I think that those guys are just wreaking havoc right now.
Well, the thing is, too, is I think Trey Henderson might have a pretty good game because he's going against it's going to be their third string tackle. I think it is because
Peters is playing, or at least he's kind of been limited this week, I think, with a quad issue. And so, that left tackle spot, he's, that's a mess that, their offensive line is just not that great right now. They've got a lot of issues up front there.
All right. Not to bang on Billy Price, but since it's got put up there, Billy Price had a 27 PFF grade last night in the Giants game. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I watched it.
It won't be very nice, so I won't say it.
Yeah. I mean, I wish Billy Price the best of luck. I mean, I do. I hope it works out for him. I mean, I have no ill will toward him, but I mean, at the beginning of the game, I'm like, hey, maybe, he's looking pretty good, halfway decent. And then he turned back into Billy Price. So, but I mean, BJ Hill and James Rapine is the king of nicknames. I mean, he had Blandy Dalton. He goes with Money Mick for Evan McPherson. I like Evan Kickpherson better, but he came up for BJ Hill. BJ Thrill is what he's starting to call him now.
Okay.
And dude, the way he played, I'm absolutely shocked. Now, again, I'll say this, take it with a grain of salt, because it's the first game, and this is something that Trent Dilfer said that he got from Steve Young, and it's kind of true with the way that they do training camp and stuff now, and it's nowhere close to what they used to do. The first 4 games are kind of the preseason. They're not implementing everything. Guys aren't, the way the first 4 games are right now isn't exactly the way those teams are going to play during the season. So BJ Hill had a really good game. Hopefully that translates to Sunday. But either way, it's a hell of a debut. And speaking of debuts, Jamar Chase, who is the Pepsi Rookie of the Week, had a 50-yard bomb by, Jackpot Joey Burrow. And that's the longest TD ever scored by a Bengals rookie in their debut. That's a pretty good debut, I think. The longest throw ever.
Couldn't be happier for him. Couldn't be happier for Jamar Chase. Was absolutely dragged through the mud for weeks. And, I wasn't dragging him through the mud, but there was some concern on my part for him in terms of the drops that we were seeing. They just seemed to be so routine, and he was dropping these easy passes in preseason games, and you saw some drops in practices too leading up to it. He had a bad practice after the game with 3 drops,
right?
To follow that, and I wasn't hitting the panic button per se, but I was a little worried. And then he goes out and he just has basically a Bengals rookie wide receiver record-setting type of day, right? I mean, it's just And by the way, that ball I saw on Next Gen Stats, some of those came my way. I think that was the longest air traveled touchdown by Joe Burrow. The ball traveled the furthest in his career as well. So, which I think there was about 38 yards of air travel when Chase caught it. So, I mean, basically that's Joe Burrow's, best long bomb of his career. And so, I couldn't be happier for him. It was good to see T. Higgins get involved. I was really worried when both he and Mixon left the game. I think it was both cramps though. So, a little worried there, but Boyd didn't have a huge impact, made a couple of catches, but that's kind of, I think how this thing's kind of going to go this year, Jeff, is that, if we're going to see a more balanced attack, if we're going to see Joe Burrow hover around the 30-35 dropbacks or pass attempt type of range, you're not necessarily going to have two 100-yard wide receivers or 3 100-yard wide receivers. It may be one guy that just shines, one guy has a solid performance just because of the fact that Burrow's not going to throw the ball 40, 45, 50 times a game this year, at least not very often, or at least not early on, it would seem, because they want Mixon involved.
Yeah, and the blowback from that is unbelievable of how people are saying, what is it, Seth from PFF said, it's Joe Burrow's worst game or whatever, and which is not true because his 2 worst games were against the Squealers and the Rapids last year. But this is what he did. 20 of 27 for 261 and 2 TDs. I'll take that. I mean, every day I'll take, because all we complained about last year was, he's dropping back too much. He's dropping back too much. Well, now he didn't. And they're complaining, well, he didn't throw it enough. I'm like, oh my God. Can't make anybody happy.
No turnovers. They got to win. Made an insane clutch throw at the end of the game. I mean, if that's his worst game, this is the thing. I love PFF, and I think it's a great barometer. It's a great gauge in terms of player performance and all of that. But sometimes they throw out those, folks that work for PFF throw out these kind of things,
hot takes.
These statements. Yeah, and I go, that was his worst game,
right?
I mean, it'd be one thing if you would maybe have a little bit of an argument if the Bengals lost that game and lost it maybe handily, and those were his stats. I mean, the ball hit the ground 7 times. He had over 70% completion percentage, 0 turnovers. I don't really understand that statement when that was put out there, but
yeah, that one. And the thing is, I don't remember, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember. Actually, it might have been earlier. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Somebody's asking me on the show here, and I'm like, I haven't seen it. And I had Back Row Bengals on, and he looked it up and he read it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Are you serious? Like, now this one thing, and I'll get back to the defense. And I was kind of hoping, and I put this up here, Marvin said, I wouldn't mind seeing Hodges just in the mix in the rotation. And I was kind of surprised he only got like 1 snap. I didn't think he was going to be a every down, 3rd down guy. I thought he might get, maybe 10 snaps or so, but he only got 1. So that was a little surprising to me, especially as banged up as we are on the edge.
It was a little surprising. I think they really like Cam Sample as a situational guy. I think they're going to give substantial snaps. You saw it to Hendrickson and Hubbard until they proved to not be productive. And then they were able to keep those interior defensive linemen that were getting pushed, Ogunjobi, BJ Hill. They were able to keep those guys on the field and still have effectiveness there. So I guess it was just kind of like, well, there's just not a situation where we're bringing in Hodge at this point in time. I think it's a nice thing to have in your tool belt. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals and Lou Anarumo, I assume we will see a larger amount of snaps going forward on defense for him, but it's hard. I mean, I get it, but it's hard to complain given the production of the defensive line overall. But I do think he'll get a few more defensive snaps going forward, but I do think that, Sample is the guy that they really want to use in situational type of role, a situational type of role like that.
Right now, I put this on out there on Twitter, and actually I got it from LSU's Twitter. I want to give them credit, but the I'm sure you saw it where they morphed together. Joe Burrow's pass to Uno to the same play he had at LSU. I mean, it looked dead on the same thing. That was unbelievable, and that's what I got so excited about when we drafted Jamar. And I'm like, this is what can happen to our offense. And this is why I think we can come close to averaging 30 points a game. If we do that, we're going to the playoffs, I think. I mean, and the way the defense is playing, and I think I said this last time you're on the show, I think the defense has a shot of being very opportunistic. I didn't expect to have that big of a push coming up the middle. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, I haven't had such a busy week, and I traveled all day Monday. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the play over and over and over again. I seem to remember that cornerback who was guarding him was a little bit on an island there. There wasn't a lot of safety help on that play. Mm-hmm. And so that's what running the football can do for you. Now,
absolutely.
The ability or the appearance of the ability to run the football brings the defense up and allows for these more one-on-one plays. Now, I have to go back and look at it to kind of diagnose everything that happened there, but I think that's what was lacking last year in terms of the ability, part of the equation in terms of the ability to throw the deep ball. Obviously, protection was an issue and all of that, but not being able to run the ball, not committing to running the ball or bringing balance to the offense disallows a team to utilize play action, disallows a team to be able to take these one-on-one shots downfield. And as you saw, what was really cool about that play with Chase, there was a period where, and it was just kind of a little bit of a streak route up the sideline there. There was a period where he and the corner were kind of together, and then Chase hit another gear. And he got about 3 or 4 steps on him, and it was lights out. So, I'm hopeful, and I know it sounds weird to say this, but I'm hopeful that the run game will actually be able to produce more plays like this going forward for the Bengals offense, because, bringing balance keeps the defense on its heels for sure.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I said a lot last year when everybody was getting upset with Zach and throw the ball so much. And people asked me, like, what do you think the offense is going to be like? And I said, I really do think Zach wants to have a more balanced offense. He wants to run the ball more. Now, running as many times he ran Joe Mixon, Rowdy every lap on here told me he would break, if he ran the ball that many times, that many carries every game, he would break the all-time single season record by like 77 carries. I don't think Mixon's going to run it that many times, but I think the Bengals themselves as a team are going to run it at least that many times. I think Pete Ron's going to get some more touches, and I think Chris Evans is going to get some more touches, because we really didn't see them at all. And that's kind of goes back to my point where I'm saying it's kind of preseason sort of still. They're still implementing things and stuff like that, and that's where I think that we're at. But I gotta tell you this: when that touchdown happened, it came toward the end zone that I sit in.
Yeah,
and I saw Chase on an island. I looked up at Ed. I said, "Chase is 1-on-1." As soon as the ball's in the air, I'm going, "Got him, got it." I knew it was good. By the time my eyes went there for the ball, he was gone. He was passing. So that was. And I know a lot of people around here talked about what were you thinking when the ball was in the air, and everybody's like holding their breath. Oh my goodness, is he going to catch it? I never doubted he was going to catch it. I was just like, he's gone. He beat him by, I don't know, 5 steps at least. And so that's the thing that's very exciting about the Bengals. And again, with what you're saying, with the way this offense is running, you got to use the run to create the pass. And we really didn't even get Tyler Boyd into the mix. T. Higgins was out with cramps. So, I mean, we still have yet to really find out exactly what this offense can do. Like I said, Chris Evans barely got on the field. P-Ron barely got any touches. There's a lot more to this offense still, I think.
I liked what you said about, it's week one and they're maybe still kind of figuring some things out. In week one, if you noticed, there are a lot of new faces and a lot of new contributors like Jamar Chase, rookies and whatnot that were out there at Camp Sample. We talked about him, but, for the large majority of both sides of the ball, it was a lot of, we're going to play heavy snaps to known commodities at this point, right? I mean, it's Henderson and Hubbard getting a lot of snaps. It's DJ Reader getting a lot of snaps on defense. It's the safeties getting a lot of snaps on defense. Von Bell, Jesse Bates, and even Ricardo Allen got in there. And Ricardo Allen, to his credit, played well in the role.
He was a shock. I mean, as many, and to be honest, I didn't realize at the game how many times he was on the field till afterwards. So, we're at the game, we're enjoying the game, and where I sit, it's a little hard to see the whole field, But I didn't realize how many times they were running a 3 safety package or whatever with Ricardo Allen.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I know we like to bang on Lou Armadillo, right, Jeff?
I've been calling him Lou lately. I haven't.
I know you've been quiet on the Armadillo. Here's the thing, though, man. I've been a real harsh critic of him the past, for his first 2 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you start to see BJ Hill, a guy he knew from the Giants in his time there. Ricardo Allen, a guy he knew from college. You bring in an Ogunjobi in that Geno Atkins type of role. All of a sudden you kind of have these loose guys. Mm-hmm. And at least for week one this year, guys that he was very familiar with, veteran guys, Hill, Allen, and others, they played well for him. And I guess you got to, tip the cap to Lou a little bit.
I'll give him credit. I mean, I kind of said that I thought he was going to have a better defense this year because he has guys that are bought in. I mean, let's be honest. He had guys that weren't bought into what he was trying to do the last couple of years,
Right.
And he's got guys that are bought in and guys that I think are more capable of doing what he wants to do. Now, getting back to the Ricardo Allen situation, since he's on IR now, what do you think they're going to do? And they brought in Trent Irvin. I think that means Darius Phillips might get some more playing time so they can run that 3 safety set, or it's the other linebacker,
Davis Gaither.
Yes, thank you. Or he gets more playing time. Where are you at on that? What do you think?
So that's a good question, and we've been asked this a lot on our show too about what's the plan here. There is one theory, like you said, where it's Darius Phillips' time on the outside, especially with some of the struggles we saw from Eli Apple. So they're going to give Phillips a shot. It sounds like Trey Waynes is getting closer to coming back, by the way. So he may be back by week 3 for the Steelers, which would be a real pleasant,
that would help.
Real. Yeah, that would be very helpful. But we'll see how that goes. But so you may have Phillips kind of rotate with Eli Apple. You may have Phillips take more snaps. And then you got Irwin kind of coming in for the punt returns. It could just be, though, Irwin, they just want an extra capable slot guy along with Tyler Boyd to, you could utilize 2 slot guys there. I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know what to make of this. I think we may see a few more increased snaps of Darius Phillips on defense, but it still seems like Lou is going to be committed to Eli Apple. So, I mean, as much as we commend Lou and the guys that he's familiar with, Apple is another guy that he was very familiar with, and Apple didn't have a great game. I think he was in the mid 40s for a PFF overall score on defense. So, yikes there. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, I wish I had a good answer for you. I don't really know what this means with the Trenton Irwin call up and what it means for Darius Phillips, et cetera.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. He could go both ways. I personally, actually, I like both of them. I like Darius Phillips and I like Akeem Davis Gaither. But I would like to see Phillips try to get some more playing time because he deserves it. He's done what they've asked him to do, and he's an athletic guy, and I think he could make some plays. Now, he has a tendency to get burned, and I think it's one of the reasons they don't put him out there as much. But I like to see him get a shot, and I mean, I like to see him get a shot instead of Eli Apple, but that's the thing and this one thing with Zach and Lou, they're loyal to a fault sometimes, and that's kind of where I think Mike Brown is too. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Eli Apple turns around, has a great game on Sunday, but it didn't look good. I mean, it was not. I mean, the one play where all you had to do is knock the wide receiver out of bounds and he completely missed the tackle. I mean, you got to make that play. I mean, a rookie can make that play. You and me, if we were there, probably could make that play. If we were,
I don't know about me, but
I'm a big fat guy. I could just jump on it; he would fall over.
So I mean, when you look at the backup nickel cornerback is Jalen Davis. Darius is the backup to Awuzie. I mean, maybe like you said, Darius Phillips is one of the most. I don't want this to come off the wrong way. One of the most frustrating players on this roster because the athleticism is off the charts. The big playability is off the charts, but the consistency is just all over the place. Right. So maybe he does step in. Maybe he doesn't step in as the boundary corner and replace Eli Apple. Maybe he's the guy who steps in for a week in the Ricardo Allen role where you say, hey, just play a little zone here, play this, cover this part of the field. Don't think too much. Rely on your instincts and athleticism and let that take over. I don't know, though. I just feel like that third safety role was specifically carved out for a guy like Ricardo Allen. And, if I were a betting man, I would probably say Brandon Wilson or someone of that nature. Maybe Sean Davis, the guy, we're still waiting to see if they call anyone up here at the end of the week from the practice squad. Sean Davis, a guy that probably would fill that role as well. We'll see what happens. But, I mean, I just don't have a good answer as to what the thinking here is until we kind of get closer to game time and see some of the decisions they make.
All right. Now, Chris here says Phillips has a mild injury and is questionable to play on Sunday. That's news to me.
You know what? I hadn't had a chance to look at today's injury report.
See, that's what sucks about trying to do a YouTube show and actually having real jobs. we actually have real other jobs that we have to do. So sometimes I miss
Darius. Darius Phillips here. That's why. So here's the deal with him. That is correct. He has a thigh injury, but the good news is he was limited practice Wednesday, limited practice Thursday, and then full practice Friday. So when you kind of do more work later in the week, I think that we're in good shape there. I would hope, if you're going full practice at the end of the week instead of the other way,
you should be good to go. Now we just keep talking about the defense. I mean, the defense really impressed me on Sunday, and I got some stats here. The Bengals held the Minnesota to 3.68 yards per play on first down. As of right now, that's second best in the league. Now, they also held Dalvin Cook to 61 yards, his lowest rushing total in over a year. And to me, I've been concerned the whole time about our run defense because we got ran over last year a lot by the Clowns and the Ratbirds. And to start out with that against Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings, that bodes pretty well moving forward in the AFC North where let's be honest, the Clowns and the Ratbirds, they run the ball. And that's what you have to beat them. You have to stop the run first.
And I think part of the issues with that last year, I mean, there were other issues in 2019 too, when they couldn't stop anybody, but part of the issue with that, no DJ Reader throughout much of last year, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, the linebacker still young, a little unproven. Now all of a sudden, you've got Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt had pretty good games this last week. DJ Reader was awesome as well. So, I think the two young linebackers and the group of young linebackers playing a bit better and showing improvement is a big reason. DJ Reader being in there is a big reason. That's a lot of weapons on Minnesota's offense that they, for the most part, kind of held in check. I mean, I know Thielen got in the end zone a couple of times there, but one was on a fourth down. And I mean, it kind of was really based on those weapons and the talent they have, it really was kind of a formula for success. And one of those touchdowns may not have happened if the Bengals had successfully converted that fourth down on their own 30-yard line, right? So,
let's get to that a little bit here. And I have a little different take on it, I think, than most Bengals fans. I'm I'm fine with him going for it. The play call, it could have been a little better play, but I still think if Mixon doesn't slip, I think he might get that. The point being, if we get that first down, the whole narrative changes. I think we blow the Vikings out. You're at least getting a field goal. You might be up by 2 or 3 touchdowns by then. If they can't convert that game is over. Now I know they didn't do it, and we let the Minnesota back in, but I like that as far as that goes, and that led to the CJ Uzomah game-winning pass, and that's a pass. That the best thing I liked about it is Zach put the ball in Joe's hands. He gave him the options. You could run it, you could audible out of it to the play that they did, and Joe audibled out of it and threw CJ open. That is a thing, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I can't remember Hodge. What's his name? The former Steelers running back. Anyway,
Merrill Hodge.
Yeah, Merrill Hodge. Thank you. Merrill Hodge was on Salma Wilcox's show this morning on NFL Radio, and he said that play is a play that could change the course of the franchise. And I agree. And I thought that was a great statement, because what I was leading up to all last week was the Bengals need to make the winning plays. They need to make the plays to win the game. wherever it is, first quarter, second quarter, third, in the game, whatever it is, they need to make the plays to win the game. They did that, and they came back from a mistake. Zach made a mistake, made a bad play call. He admitted that. They overcame the mistake. They made the plays to win. They made just a gutsy play to Uzomah to get within field goal range for Kick Fearson. I agree. I think that's a play that could change the franchise and definitely the course of this season.
So first of all, Adam Jones told us that he's going to be doing a podcast coming up with Solomon Wilcox. So
I've heard it. Yeah. It's on the Believe Network.
A little plug for Pac-Man is because he told us about it.
Yeah, it's called Believe in the Bengals. I've already heard the first couple. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So look, I mean, there are so many layers to it. Let's start with the fourth down call, and then we could talk about how the Bengals rebounded.
I rambled on a lot there.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm just tired, man. My kids are keeping me up, so I'm making sure. This is my way of making sure I've got the checklist going right.
I got you.
Look, the fourth down calls. I understand. I really like the aggressiveness, and I like the message that it sends to your football team.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're up 2 touchdowns. You aren't, if you were closer to midfield, I would understand that call a bit more. I understand it was a giant gamble. I mean, it was a giant gamble.
Huge.
The reality of it, and obviously we'd be having a different conversation, different discussion. I just feel like that one was a little too had a little bit too big of an opportunity to blow up in your own face at that point, and it did.
Which it did. Yeah.
And so, but they ended up okay, and 2 other risky occasions that they went for it, aggressive occasions, it paid off for them. So it sounds like they're going to be going for it quite often. I didn't really like the call, and I know that's easy to say given what happened. I didn't like the call that deep in their own territory, but I understand it, and I understand what kind of message that sends to your team and actually your defense, saying, hey, we even if we don't get this, we have faith that you can stop this team if we give you bad field position there. And that was kind of the case because the Bengals defense, especially up to that point, had been playing pretty well. They let up 7 points in 2.5 quarters, right? So I understand it, but we can move on from the fourth down calls, and I think there's going to be fortunately and unfortunately, there's going to be situations where we're going to feel this way game to game. In terms of the Bengals rebounding and saving a season and or saving a franchise, I don't know if I would go that drastic, but I think it's a really, really big deal that they were able to rebound, and they were able to rebound and win a 1-possession game, which has been an Achilles heel of Zach Taylor since he arrived here. And the fact that they were able to do that, I got to tell you, Jeff, I don't know if you felt it I within the stadium or yourself. I felt it both ways. I was guilty of a little bit of here we go again when they let up that touchdown, and after the fourth down, it felt like, and you kind of felt the air.
I was pacing. I was pacing back and forth in my eye. I was like, oh my, don't lose this game! Come on.
Yeah, I was getting pretty frustrated as to what was going on there after that fourth down stop. And I maybe the players fed off of that a little bit and that's what kind of let the foot off the gas a little bit. Then you saw Joe Burrow limp late in the game and you're going, oh my God, what is happening here? And
Yeah, that freaked my dad out.
Yeah. So, all of that. And you start to get like, oh man, this is kind of nightmarish what's going on in this game. And so all of a sudden they were able to go out there, hold strong. And in like the biggest type of moment at the very, very end, when they needed a play, they made it. And oh, by the way, the fourth down call in overtime that Zach made was that one was, hey, we're not playing to tie here.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be an outcome of this game and it's not going to be a tie. Right. So
I think that one, he's learning from the Eagles game last year.
Yeah. So, I think it was a big turning point for this team. And I think you saw the confidence of some of these young players who haven't been around the team a bit. And I think, quite honestly, there may be a little bit of a reason as to why Zach has let go of some of these longtime Bengals veterans to get that kind of mindset out of the team, out of the locker room. We don't need that here we go again stuff. We're going to bring in confident players and go from there. And, the confidence and the aggressiveness ended up paying off for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I never had the, oh, here we go again. I just got really nervous because I'm like, we cannot lose this freaking game. We're up by two touchdowns and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I did get I won't say a lot nervous about that. But one thing you're saying about getting rid of the older players in the locker room, and this is something that Evan Kickfierson said that Huber was saying that this locker room is completely different and the aura is completely different than any other locker room he's been with for the Bengals. He's been there for 10 years. He was on the team for the five straight playoffs. And to me, that all goes back, I think, to Joe Burrow. And I think Zach too, because one thing Zach has talked about day one is building a culture here. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about our former players, but some of the guys that we've had were, I won't say character flaws, but it seemed like when you talk about Andy and the lights, when the pressure got on, they crumbled. And it seems like the players we have now, a lot of them played at Big Ten programs. If they did play at Big Time programs, they are captains of their teams. So they're hopefully mentally stronger to be able to overcome these things. Because, I mean, that fourth down backfire could have crushed the team. And the Bengals teams in the past, they'd be like, we're done, Yeah, and it didn't happen.
And some of those guys were present. Some of those guys that were here maybe in 2019 were present for the 2015 wild card collapse. That was just inexplicable, right? So they've seen and experienced a lot of different wacky scenarios where we go, how did we lose that game, right?
Right.
So that's kind of it's just maybe a theory of mine that maybe that played into some of these decisions. I don't really know. We're not in the locker room. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if that came out to say, we just don't need that kind of mindset right now, along with bringing in the types of players that we want for this team. But not only are they drafting players from winning programs, big programs, and who were successful in those programs, they're bringing in free agents like Mike Hilton from the Steelers, right?
Yep.
Team that's always a winner, right?
Right.
You bring in Larry Ogunjobi from the Browns. Well, the Browns aren't the pinnacle of success, but what'd they do last year? He was on that team last year, right? They went pretty far. Mm-hmm. They're bringing in guys that are, either used to winning or are accustomed to winning recently, and or they're just not used to losing. And so I think that plays into the confidence factor. And I got to tell you, I was thinking about this with the whole confidence thing this week. Zach Taylor, for a guy that has going into this year, only had 6.5 wins,
right.
NFL head coach. That guy has remained pretty damn confident his entire time that he's been here. So, I think that permeates through the locker room too. Absolutely.
And let's get to the back. I keep going back to fourth down calls, but I mean, throughout Zach's history, he's went for it a lot, and more often than not, he's got it. And you got to take it. You got to take the good with the bad. When it comes to this, we for years, me being one of them, I'll put my hand up. I got so sick and tired of watching Marvin Lewis, punt it every time and play defense. And, I'm sorry, but 90% of the time it didn't work. We weren't aggressive and trying to go for it. So I had that for 13, 14 years, however long Marvin was here. I'll take the guy that goes for it. I want to see see what happens. And just rolling back to the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, that's what I loved about Brian Kelly when he was the coach there. He always went for it. And most of the time it worked. And if you got the confidence to do it and you got the quarterback, which the Bengals do, you're going to convert most of those. And I will take a chance of putting the game in Joe Burrow's hands. And that's what the other thing I really liked about that fourth down call to win it is he gave Joe the option. It wasn't just run it, here, you can run it or you got out to this. And there might have been more than 2 plays. I don't know, but he had an option to audible to that play. Zach gave the confidence to Joe, which I don't think Joe is lacking in confidence, but that's just the whole team in general. We're going for it, and it's up to you guys. Make a play, and I think that's going to permeate throughout the whole locker room. I think it's a tone-setting play to hopefully a very successful season.
Yeah, confidence comes from a small handful of different areas. Obviously, confidence comes from the fact that knowing that you're talented in a specific sport area, whatever. Confidence comes from being prepared, and confidence comes from being calm in the most chaotic of moments, right? And so I feel like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, all these guys that have had a lot of success from the college level, and Zach Taylor has always been a confident guy. That's just permeated. All those factors are kind of coming together. I know it's one win. Things can change on a dime this week, which I hope they do not. But
right,
it just seemed like it was still while the rest of us were like, oh, here we go again. They're like, we got it.
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like.
Yes. That's good. And you talk about winning. I could be wrong in this, but I don't think Jamar Chase has lost a football game since high school. I think I heard that somewhere. I don't remember. I could be making that up, but he hasn't lost a game in 2 years. I'll put it that way. I know that. So, so that's a winning program there. And again, let's talk about Evan McPherson. What a week! What a debut he's had. And just for the Bengals in general for awards. We got the special team player of the week. We got the rookie of the week. We got the FedEx ground player of the week. And then we go into Chicago, and they're down their offensive line. They're down this, and we're down. We're underdogs by 3 points now.
Yeah,
I think this could be either a blowout for the Bengals or it's going to be a close game. Because if they get a couple shots and get out on the Bears, I don't think the Bears have an offense to catch them. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
There are a couple of, so number one, when a game is usually 3 points or whatever, and the home team gets the 3 points, that usually means it's a pretty even matchup in the eyes of Vegas. That's, the home team, if it's an even matchup, the home team usually gets 2.5, 3.5 points if it's pretty even there. So I guess that's kind of how Vegas is viewing this thing. My thing with this, there are two factors that not a lot of people are talking about with this. Number one, the Bengals played 5 quarters of football last week. That's kind of something where you go, okay, does fatigue play into this at all for the Bengals? Does the emotional wear and tear of that game play into this at all?
That's why they had all the walkthroughs this week too, not that much practice because of that too.
Yeah. And the other facet is Andy Dalton, as we know, is a rhythm quarterback. And if he gets in a rhythm early, if you give him, just kind of these easy balls, or guys are making plays for him, guys are maybe bailing him out and, making some plays. If he gets in a rhythm early, he can have good games. We've seen it. Right. So, that's one thing that I think the Bengals need to be very alert for this week, is to not let Andy get off to a hot start and let him gain that confidence. They need to kind of shut the door pretty quickly. And then I think they can kind of maintain control of that. But the fatigue factor of playing 5 full quarters last week and getting on Andy early, I think, especially with that defensive line, if they're able to do that without a lot of blitzing, just by generating pressure or sacks there, I think that's a big deal.
Now, one thing Andy does not handle well is pressure up the middle. And I'm not taking credit for this. Zim was saying this yesterday. And that's one thing this defense has, after one game, has been able to do very well, is get pressure up the middle. So that bodes well to getting to Andy. And I know they're pretty good. I think the offensive line, they're better up the middle than they are on the edges right now as far as their offensive line goes. But that to me bodes well for the Bengals getting out on the Bears. I think that has to happen to get for us to have a chance well, not even a chance, but to blow them out, which I'm not saying we're going to. I think it's going to be close. I mean, my prediction is I got 27-21 win for the Bengals is what I got. I hate doing scores, but people always ask me what I have. So
I think I had 30-21 Bengals. Look back at what the Bengals game plan was on defense with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook last week. I think if you replicate that, you're able to do a lot. I don't think Andy Dalton at this point in his career is as good as Kirk Cousins, and Montgomery is a good back like Dalvin Cook. So if you're able to kind of get them in third and long situations, get after the quarterback, at least corral and contain David Montgomery so that he does not make the big plays, and you're able to do that early, I think that's going to be key for this team here and getting the win. The one facet that killed the Vikings that comes with a home field advantage was the false starts and the noise and all that kind of stuff. The Bengals defense won't probably have that kind of situation this week. So they're going to need to figure out, ways to, put them in further holes in second down, third down, like they did last week.
Well, one thing they can do, they hopefully they have a chance of turning the crowd against the Bears, because, and this is from Locked On Bengals. They had the Bears broadcaster there that Chicago is clamoring for Justin Fields. They want him to be the QB. And this guy is saying the first sign of Andy struggling or the offense struggling or anything struggling, they're going to start booing, So again, if the Bengals can get out on them, if we turn that crowd against them, that's going to help too. Now it brings Justin Fields out probably quicker, which I would not be surprised if, I won't say a quarterback change, but Justin Fields is going to get some time out there. And to me, that makes it a little more difficult to prepare, because Andy Dalton and Justin Fields are two different quarterbacks, so that's the more difficult thing, I think, as the preparation goes coming into Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know how, how you properly divvy that up if you're Lou Anarumo. And we've seen when, the Bengals have been on a team pretty handily in the scoreboard, and then all of a sudden there's a quarterback change. Remember a couple of years ago, I think it was Jameis Winston, and then Fitzpatrick came in for Tampa Bay. I think that was in 2018. That was something that, I think, at one point Tyrod Taylor was with the Browns, and either Mandel or someone else came in to whatever kind of result. So, right. I mean, it's hard to, coach that. I think regardless of if they genuinely pull Andy or whatever this week, I don't see that happening. I think you're going to still see a good amount of snaps from Fields. So, they're just going to need to prepare for both guys.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Anthony. Well, it's about 6:30. You give me an hour. You look tired. I know you've had a long week. I had a blast. I wish I wasn't so tired at the end of the game. I wouldn't hung out with you more, but I was wore out. But next time you come in, hopefully be a little cooler, and we can hang out some more. But tell everybody about your podcast, Cincy Jungle, and all that.
Yeah, all the news, updates, analysis, opinions, all kinds of different articles, and our podcast is on cincyjungle.com. The Cincy Jungle podcast channel has a couple of different shows in it, one of which is mine, the Orange and Black Insider, that I do with John Sheeran, who is also a contributor over at Cincy Jungle.
I forgot this part. I didn't even say this part. You and John met each other for the first time in person.
First time in person.
Yeah. Which I cracks me up, because you guys have been doing this for 5 years or more now.
Yeah. So it was really cool being able to meet him. And then our show's there, and then Orange is the New Black with Zim and Ace. That's on the podcast channel, as is Chalk Talk with Matt Minnick. So we kind of divvy it up. Our podcast does anywhere from 3 to 5 different episodes a week, depending. We're more in season. We're trying to do something at least close to every day. But, the channel itself is giving you something every day, the podcast channel. And then, of course, all kinds of different articles every day on cincyjungle.com.
Absolutely. So if you guys have not checked them out, which if you're watching me, I'm sure they watch you, definitely go check them out. I've had all of you guys on my show, and I enjoy having each and every one of you on here. You guys are great guys, and you do a great job. And I appreciate you coming on the show again, Anthony. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it. It's flattering that you keep asking. So hopefully we're doing a good job for you on the show. We like what you do here. I know it's a daily show, and that's a grind, but you do an awesome job, and appreciate you being kind to us. And it was great meeting you in person this last weekend, man.
Absolutely, Anthony. You take it easy. Who day? All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And let me get to Matt here. Yes, T. Higgins was wearing a Jackpot Joey hat. Yes, I played that clip at the beginning of the show here. Also, Matt, it got mentioned on Good Morning Football today too. So, Matt, if you're watching, just check this clip out. It's awful, but you can hear what the guy says. Just listen.
Okay, understandable there. Of course, he wore number 5 in college. You also notice he had a number 9 hat on for Joey Burrow, who he calls Jackpot Joey, K. And we are big fans of nicknames on this program. Jackpot Joey, I like that. And if you're a fantasy owner, you may really like that, K.
So that's just really, really cool that Jackpot Joey, it got mentioned on Good Morning Football. I think we're going to try and send them some stuff. So maybe Good Morning Football, if you guys are watching, maybe you guys will wear some Jackpot Joey stuff on the show. That would be great. And just to remind everybody, a portion of it goes to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Foundation. So support for Joe Burrow. And we have Joe Burrow, and it's not me, Maddie. And he has Joe Burrow's support to do this. So it's a good thing. I'm happy for it. Let's get the heck out of here. Let me get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. You got Who Day Nation, Who Day Legion, Cincinnati Reds, rounding third, heading for home, Bearcat Ruckus, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar, and then you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trunapole. You can follow me on TikTok at Iceman90. I'll be pulling the sound off here later on, and if you guys missed any of it, obviously you can watch it on the YouTube channel, but if you don't want to sit and watch it, you can listen to it on podcast form. You know, if you're working out in the car at work tomorrow, if you work on Saturdays like I do, you can listen to it. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, I'm trying to rattle this. If you get podcasts, it's on there. Make sure you rate, like, review, give me a 5-star review, share it, tell everybody about the podcast, try to get some more people following it, download it, and leave a comment so that way more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, like I said, I'm at 1,368 subscribers. That is awesome. Again, I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'm rolling to 2,000 here. This is awesome. Let's keep it going. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors about Sports with Strawberry Ice. I would greatly appreciate it. And one of my favorite clips I have to put up here is Brian Pillman. And he wants to let you know where we come from.
From the streets of Cincinnati, welcome to the jungle!
And as my boy, Jeremy Dimebag These Nuts always says, remember one thing and one thing only, and that is you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, so act like it. Who Day? We got high school football tonight, college football tonight. The Bearcats are playing Indiana tomorrow. I hope they go and blow them out. I really do hope they go and blow them out. I think they have a shot at doing it. Call me crazy, but I think they got a shot at doing it. If UC goes there and blows Indiana out, that's a huge, huge statement. I want that statement. Go Bearcats. Go Bengals. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday. And as always, and that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast disobey, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, everything day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin' who they, time to put your hands up. Single stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fit it. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle drippin'. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feastin' now. Fit the bounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle, we unite in drippin' orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who got 'em, who rockin' on? Stripes. Now who